Welcome back to the Legend of Heroes Trails Beyond the Horizon, where today we want to look around and what all the red exclamation marks are about. After that we have
accessing your schedule.
The two connection events we haven't watched yet regarding Swin and Nadia. Merchants. Oh, it's you folks. Appreciate what you did for us earlier. Oh, you're from the caravan we met this morning, right? You feeling any better? Thanks to those drinks you gave us, we were in some pretty bad shape out there. Feels like you gave us a second lease on life. I'm sure you'd have done the same if you were in our shoes. Yeah, your comments outside looked like they were doing better too. There's no need for thanks. After all, I think our encounter proved beneficial to both parties. Yeah, I would have learned about that irrigation project without you guys. Well, after we heard we were putting together a Sunday school lesson on it, it kinda felt like we had a duty to tell you. Should give me something to brag about to my son at least. He'll be starting his first few classes back at home soon. I know it's already said and done, but is it really alright for a priest to lie like this? Not like he's the most respectable man of a cloth. Well, I can't say a goddess is a fan, but she let it slide. Anyway, not every day you see experienced merchants getting hit by a sandstorm. Didn't even think there'd be an issue today with yesterday's downpour and all. Yeah, we're thinking the sand sea dried up faster than we expected. This is a big place after all. Then there was the fact that sandstorm came from a direction not typically on our radar. Is that so? What do you mean? See, given the conditions are right, some areas of the sand sea make the perfect breeding grounds for sandstorms. So when we're planning our routes, we try our best to avoid those areas. The only issue is the sandstorms have been growing more robust by the day. And all that heavy rain yesterday really threw off our measurements, which, obviously enough, led to us misjudging where the sandstorms would hit. Sounds like you're well lucky to make it out alive. Well, I'll be praying that the next trip's a safe one, alright? Though I can't say a run-of-a-mill pre-sprayer will be worth very much. Well, we appreciate it anyway. We'll try to be more careful in the future. Lost a lot of goods out there today.
Oh, it's way too hot outside.
Okay.
Oh, that's
So something's off with the weather. So they're rescued from the sandstorm then? That's right, saved by the people I was just talking about too. Speak of the devil! Sorry to interrupt. Ismail was just telling me about how you all help at merchant caravan in the desert. But I won't bother you about the details right now. After all, it looks like you have business with us today. Haha, your haste is appreciated. You asked if Professor Hamilton was in Tharbad last October. No, not that I'm aware of. After all, she was in the east around then, was she not? And after leaving from there, I heard she went straight back home to Basel. And someone as important as a professor comes to Tharbad, it's usually all people can talk about. So if a guild didn't know, that means she probably came in secret. Is that so? You know, I actually heard there was a bit of trouble with the city's water source around the same time. We were told that the professor came all the way out here to fix it, but if you're saying otherwise, maybe we're on the wrong track. Perhaps we should look into whether or not there were any other strange happenings or incidents in October. It wasn't long after the film festival ended, right? Does anything come to mind? Actually, I think it was about the same time the Institute of Science notified us of an analysis they conduct on the plant we found. Plant? What do you mean? Agave, the type used to make the drug distributed during the film festival, right? Yes, the Guild's Tharbad branch and the Institute of Science are collaborating on a joint investigation on the matter. For a while we were sending them status updates on those who had taken the drug during the festival, as well as any residual evidence we collected. even joining their field research on a trip to the cave where agave was growing on Mars. However, the data we collected there ended up being insufficient, given that there weren't any agave clusters outside the cave to compare them to. Yes, which is ultimately why the collaboration continued into late October, but unfortunately before we could make any further progress on the investigation, the Institute informed us they would be bringing it to a close. Because they'd already finished the analysis on the evidence? Well, they did manage to learn a lot about the drug itself, even shared a list of its components with us. But we're at a loss on some of the other important details like what the agave's preferred habitat is, or whether there are any related species. We suggested to the Institute that we get those questions answered before any others at the start of the investigation, but they told us that analyzing the drug's core components took priority, considering the danger it posed. They said they'd continue with the ecological investigation after the component analysis was finished. It's strange to have such a sudden change of heart. Someone with authority at the Institute must have ordered them to bring the investigation to a halt. Someone like... that's concerning. Well, at any rate, I think now we've got a better idea of what was going on back then. Thanks for answering all those questions for us. The sisters? Oh, this is... It would make sense considering the direction they gave us. Sorry, what are we talking about? This is where Hina and Sawa live. Something we mentioned while we were in the hammam. Yep, they said we could drop by whenever we wanted. I see. Well, since we're already here, why don't we go ahead and say hello? That sounds like a fine idea, but I'm not sure we're back from the hammam yet.
Wait, am I hearing things or...
Hey, Al.
It was you guys! I thought I heard your voices. Making good on our invitation, are you? Well, come on in!
Such a warm welcome, thanks, Hina. I hope you're not a bother. Remember to behave yourself, you two.
Please, there's no need to worry. Just make yourselves at home, all right? Sorry there's not much room. Oh, and why don't I make you all some cold drinks?
So tasty. You said it's made with all sorts of fancy fruits and spices, huh? Whatever it is, it definitely helps beat the heat. Man, this stuff's fantastic. It's a homemade recipe? Yep, it's one of the Central East's classic summer staples, called Shabbat. My sister's one who whipped all these up, but I can make them too. I actually used the recipe my mother taught me. They're a lifesaver when dancing in the hot summer heat. I see, families always got each other's back on one way or another, huh? If I recall correctly, your parents have passed away, no? Uh-huh. When I was still just a little kid, too. I don't really remember much about them, honestly, but Sarah's a different story. I'm just thankful I've managed to hold on tight to what they passed down to me, even in spite of all we've gone through. But I couldn't have done that without Van and the rest of Arkwright Solutions. Ah, she's got it bad, huh? Yep. Though you gotta admit, being in love is a good look on her. Just makes her all the more adorable. Shahina! Arkwright just has all the luck in the world, doesn't he? Don't know if I'd call it luck, really. His personality kinda just reels you in. When he starts helping you with things and... Are you going to finish that, Kevin? I'm still working on it. I'd heard you two had been traveling for business recently, but your house is unexpectedly tidy. Did you perhaps hire a cleaning service of some sort? No way. Our neighbors just insist on house sitting for us while we're gone. They've really done a lot for us over the years. You always gotta bring back a bunch of souvenirs to repay them. But it's always fun picking out something for them. Living here truly is wonderful. It's home in all the ways you can imagine. Guess that means that homecoming show of yours is gonna be a real sensation then. You bet. We're gonna give it the best we've got. Wish Fairy, Agnes and Van could come see it too, though. That would be nice, having Judith and everyone else there. Perhaps even the professor as well. Huh? By the professor, do you mean? Alrighty then, we shouldn't overstay our welcome now, should we? Come on, time to pack up, kiddos. After all, we gotta let these two get to practicing for the big show. You'll be rehearsing later, right? Oh, yep, right with your aces. It won't be a proper performance, of course, but if you're interested, you're more than welcome to watch. Plus, knowing with friends of Vans are in attendance will give us just the push we need to perfect our routines. Got it. We'll definitely be there then. Take care of yourselves, you two. The temperature is expected to rise in the afternoon. Hey, Rapscallion, why do you pull us out of there? I think we stumbled into information on this target. That's right, but we can't just go diving into that info without a plan, now can we? On a separate note, you too have been through Awkward Solutions case files, right? Ever find anything that could connect the sisters to our person of interest? No, we didn't. All we know is that Vaughn and the others helped them deal with the incident here in Tharbad. While she went to the east, after the incident in Basel. Additionally, however, during the anomaly which occurred in Edith last December, Sarah and Shahina were said to have been in the capital, meaning they very well may have had the chance to establish a bond with your target. Or I suppose they could have met during the events that you and Swin were involved in as well? Putting aside how you just happened to know all that, I'm not really seeing any solid connections, Oninator. That must mean we're missing a piece of a puzzle then, a piece that even one of the others are unaware of. And I believe the answer may lie with Dingo. Sounds about right. But I'm gonna argue that our main concern at the moment should be the presence of a princess. But no use jumping the gun just yet. Let's just go watch the girls' practice performance, and after, we can start looking into things. Awfully cunning of you. Roger dodger, but you know, Kevin, I'm starting to get the feeling the villain bit of yours isn't really an act after all. Ha, you got me. Kevin? Cunning? I'd say that describes you far more than it does him, Rufus. Yes, well, though my cunning is born from my inherent wicked nature, I'm not quite so sure Kevin's as heartless as he portrays himself to be. Yeah, I found he pulled us out of there just so that he has an excuse to not involve them, you know? At least that was my impression. Good. Off to the entertainment district.
Shall we search?
Jack in hell? You came. Sorry to call you guys all the way here. It was no big deal, just wondering why you asked to meet us at a train station of all places. Leaving Tharbad, are you? That's right, finished up what I was doing here for a client of mine, so now I'm off. Specifically to somewhere around the capital. Anyway, sorry to do this on our way out, but we've got the info on that request you made yesterday. And the thing you asked about at the club. So you two ran into each other, huh? That must have been a hoot. Why were you talking business in a strip club? Because dirty old man will be dirty old man. I'm not old. Oh come on, you're not even that much younger than I am. We could be siblings. Why does being referred to as old bother you so much? Perhaps because our friend here is on the cusp of what they call a midlife crisis? Look who's talking, Mr. 32. Well, I can't believe you guys actually found anything. Rumors, gossip, whispers on the wind. That's what you were talking about, right? Along with some stuff about Vegas films and their little festival last year, yeah? There was one story that stuck out to me in particular, though. Just happens to be about a certain irrigation project. Does the story involve so-called hocus pocus? In a way, yeah. See, according to our sources, Professor Hamilton came to Tharbad with a bunch of laborers 20 years ago. Take a look at the oasis. Apparently, they were able to determine pretty quickly what was causing it to dry up. So they managed to pinpoint the source of a problem to somewhere out in the desert. And before anyone knew it, there was water in the oasis again. Was like there was never a problem in the first place. Everyone we talked to was at the site 20 years ago. They all thought the same exact thing. It was like magic. Magic, huh? They were right to ask about Hocus Pocus. But aren't there people in the Empire who can use magic? Indeed there are. Witches they're called. I'm not sure if a professor shares their blood, however. Doubt it. Well, I'm not surprised witnessing a miracle like that had people wondering. Especially when nobody seems to know how she pulled it off. Apparently the professor came back to check on the Oasis status pretty regularly. But we weren't able to find anyone who could say they've seen maintenance workers or other laborers heading into the desert recently. Honestly, it felt like the more we looked into her, what she was doing, the more interesting things got. Thanks guys, can't believe how much you were able to find in a single night. This stuff should give us a better perspective on what exactly Arkwright was dealing with in Tharbad last year too. You weren't the only one who lucked out here. Also found a few extra tidbits of info for ourselves. Should make a nice souvenir for a friend of ours. Anyway, think that data will give you enough to work off on now? So you can find your target, I mean? Figured you two would put the pieces together. Doesn't sound like I'm too sure on the details just yet though. Guessing you stopped before you could get the full picture? Both for your sake and ours. After all, you would have dragged us right into this mess of yours if we hadn't. Or am I wrong? Would you have? Well, what can I say? Always nice to have a good source of information on your side. Plus, it's not like I wouldn't have upped your pay. You know, for crawling through the mud with us. It wouldn't have been enough, not by a long shot. Look, Kevin, we know you. You'd be all gung-ho about getting the job done one second, and filled with regret the next. And frankly, even if we were to help, watching your sad mug mope around for a few weeks doesn't sound like my idea of a good time. Which is why, this go around, we're giving you the info you paid us for, and leaving it at that. Ah, sure. Anyway, looks like it's about time we get going. See you around, Kevin. Try not to be too reckless, alright? If not for your own good, for the girls. Got it. You guys be careful too. They gave us a lot of good intel. No kidding, guess they call them pros for a reason. By the way, Jack said he had something to take care of somewhere around the capital, right? Wonder what he was talking about. Wasn't our place to ask about that, or with a friend we're giving that little souvenir to. Man, having connections can be a real pain in the ass sometimes, huh? They seem kind of worried about you, Kevin. It seems the threats of fate truly do entwine us all. At any rate, the information we received will be useful indeed. We should be able to use it to continue our investigation. Good grief. Alright, think we should be good now. Especially with all the intel we got. Think about time we had for the Algemera? The Algemera? Where Marielle and the princess are staying? Yep, they said they'd be heading back there once they finished at the hammam. To have a meeting with someone, I think. And since they so kindly invited us to stop by whenever we please, I doubt they mind a quick hello. Considering the group within almost certainly possesses the information we seek, we should be sure to have all our cards in hand before making our approach, no? You're probably right. After all, I heard the princess has got a pretty keen eye. And seeing as Elsham owes Professor Hamilton so much, well, personally I just want to see if we can get the princess to spill the beans, without her catching on to us. Here's hoping. Alright, let's head over once we finish with our other business.
Hey, stop on by!
So this is the famous Algemira.
Uh-huh. And small, the door is another point? The Algemera always makes me feel like I've stepped into another dimension. So this is where Marielle and the princess are staying? Yep, they said they'd be coming back here once they finished with Hammam. To have a meeting with someone, I think. And since they so kindly invited us to stop whenever, please stop there, my... Considering the group is almost... The exact same thing we just heard. I feel like we got everything we need for the moment. I agree, I mean, after all the stuff we heard from Jack and Hal, we should be good to go, right? Alright then, get in once everyone's ready. Director Lam.
Mario! Zita! Everyone! Nice to see you again. We're just dropping by to say hello.
Oh, it's you two.
Miss Rain, how wonderful to see you again, and so soon after saying our farewells.
Kevin, Rufus, we must have just missed each other at the hammam, huh?
Probably, yeah. We've been on a pretty tight schedule lately.
Promise we meant to say hi, but we had a reservation to get to. For lunch, you see.
I believe introductions are in order, Your Highness. It is an honor to make your acquaintance.
Likewise. I'm Gita Osval, daughter of Grand Prince Salman of Elsheim. And this is my bodyguard, Najee Berka.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Father Kevin, Sir Rufus. Or perhaps you would prefer I call you Sir A.
Now.
Looks like the jig's up. Would have been more surprised if it wasn't. Rufus is fine, thank you. Did you know it's actually one of the most common names in the Empire? Again, it's a pleasure, Your Highness. It's not every day a simple wanderer like myself has the opportunity to meet royalty, after all. I'm Kevin Graham of the Septian Church. Nice to meet you. By the way, I believe my colleague Silly was in your care a few months ago?
I beg to differ. We were almost certainly in her care. I'm Leslie Lam, a director affiliated with Kowloon Pictures.
So, Father Kevin and Rufus, was it? And I suppose you must be Lapis Rosenberg? You've heard of me? Well, yes, but only through the grapevine. You see, as a director, I often find myself researching current events, mostly to gather ideas for my next film, of course. And once I find myself with enough inspiration, all the fragments of information I've collected, well, I craft them into a story. There's no need to worry about me leaking anything confidential to the general public, however. Everything's a product of my imagination, after all. Well, alright then. It's an honor to hear I contributed to your creations. Man, you're something else. A little too sharp for your average Joe, if you ask me. So I'm assuming you know my title then? Am I the only one not following? Wait, Rufus? Where have I heard that name?
Oh? Talk about a crowd.
There you are. Glad to see you well, Miss Lou. You're... Ashen, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you since the festival.
Yeah. Long time no see, Swin, Nadia. And I suppose it's been a while since I've seen you three as well. Wait a sec. Are you Lapis? No way! You're even cuter than I thought you'd be!
Wait a... I know, right? Aiswen is she. The daughter of the Lu family, yeah. The same family who served as the White Orchid Dragon's benefactor, I assume. Well, before he split off to start his own. Huh, interesting. So you're saying this new project of yours is a collaboration between Kowloon Pictures and the Principality of Elsheim? That's correct, and the film currently being promoted, Perfect Driver Zero, that's the Director Gotti film, funded by Elsheim as well. Alongside Vegas Films, of course. It's quite a masterpiece, apparently. That's actually part of why I called this meeting. Not exactly keen on being left in the dust, you know. Well, whatever reason, it's always an honor to work with such celebrated studios. And to think the production is being headed by the great director Lam, you know I'm just the biggest fan of Wolf's Requiem. You made Wolf's Requiem? Gotta admit that was a pretty good flick. Can definitely see how it took the Leon d'Or last year. Right, Anina was the perfect choice for a main character, she was so cute. Well, I'm happy to hear it's caught your interest. I'm here to cover the entire pre-production process, by the way. And hopefully, once I'm done, I'll be able to turn it into an editorial. Bet that'll make for an interesting read. I assume it'll be in the Tyrol Times, yes? Do you have an idea of when it would be published? Well, this is off the record, but around... Anyhow, this is quite a fascinating collection of faces. What looks to me like you five have been traveling together for a while now. Hanging out in the desert with a priest, for Nadia? Call me crazy, but that's not exactly my idea of a fun-filled vacation. I know, the heat out here is the worst too. Well, it gets an A in my book. The food's been amazing so far. Could you try not to blow all over my mirror, please? My wallet's looking a little worse for wear lately. When allowed today to be my treat. And of course, if there's anything else you need assistance with, please don't hesitate to ask. I consider our meeting today to be a stroke of fate. Wait, didn't the CID have a never mind. As for me, I'd like to repay my debts to you all for helping me on Nemeth Island. If you're in need of info, I'm willing to provide whatever I know. So he says, well, what do you plan to do, Father Kevin? They've really got us backed against a cliff here, and I think our only real choice is to jump. Is it just me or is Najee giving us with stink eye? Doesn't matter. If we want answers, we can't let ourselves be intimidated. That's right. So let the interrogation commence. Well, frankly, I'm glad to hear that. As I'm sure you've all figured out by now, I'm here on official church business at the moment, and these four have been lending me a hand. This stays between us, but I've been tasked with looking into something for Her Holiness. Her Holiness, you mean? Her Holiness Orestes II. This must be quite the job you're on. It is, yeah. But seeing as I can't exactly let you guys in on any of the details, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to turn down the offers of assistance. Instead though, think you'd all mind answering some questions for us? Please ask us anything. Yeah, I'd be happy to answer. Well, as long as those questions aren't about insider info on Heyo, of course. Much obliged in that case. Considering everything we know already, I should probably start by asking about... A new film? Well, as long as everything is off the record, I'll leave a choice to you, Director Lam. Oh, well, I suppose I don't mind sharing a few details. The premise is a bit out there, though, I admit, but I don't think any other studio but Kowloon Pictures would do it justice. To put it simply, it's going to be a near-future sci-fi film. Allow me to set the scene. Year 1299 of the Septine calendar. Society has fallen to stagnation. Humanity is on the brink of extinction. Strong start. Yeah, kinda spooky too. Sci-fi, short of science fiction, right? Do you mean to proceed with this dystopian tale of yours? Of course. Due to an unfortunate chain of events, humanity has not only lost civilization, but the favor of a goddess as well. It's a story about the bonds forged between humans as they try desperately to survive in a cold, cruel world. A world dominated by monsters. And well, that's about the gist of it. That sounds amazing. Is there gonna be any romance? Monsters, huh? Bet it'll have some killer action scenes. Sounds like they're trying to pioneer an entirely new genre here. Would expect nothing less from the great director Lam. I know the story's a bit bleak, but Kowloon Pictures thinks it'll be our biggest hit yet. And if we shoot in the deserts of Tharbad, the visual realism of it all will make everything just as much more impactful. We'd also like to film in the northern regions of the Ishgal Mountains, where the Kruger village is. We've actually already begun negotiations with our representatives to do so. Oh, isn't that where ferry's from? I assume the east must be on your list of potential shooting locations as well then? No, actually. While the raids do extend partway through the region, it is unfortunately much too dangerous to use as a shooting location. Professor Hamilton also warned us against doing so due to the unstable weather conditions. Yeah, life sounds really rough out there. apparently all the crops keep withering because it's always cloudy too. And heck, all those random tornadoes surrounded by lightning? Well, I imagine the footage I could capture would be phenomenal. I'm afraid I'm not so willing to sacrifice my cast and crew. I could certainly see Director Gotti brute forcing it, however. If there's a will, there's a way. From what I heard about the man, that sounds about right. Can't say we've ever had the pleasure of hosting him as the director, though. The others wouldn't take too kindly to his tastes. Well, I think Vega's films suit him just fine. They do a simply phenomenal job at delivering on his directorial intents. You know, I'm actually hoping that he'll be able to adapt one of my favorite books someday. Have you ever heard of 3 at 9? Oh, I'd love to see that. I don't think there's much in that one that Gotti can run with, honestly. That's not true. I mean, the heroine's sexy and cute and the audience would love her. Take it down a notch, Nadia. The characters are 12 and 14, though, are they not? Which would create an issue for the rating boards. Oh, I agree. Which does suggest you raise their ages and even flip their gender. And perhaps you could even give a main antagonist tentacles? Tentacles? This is a girl being subjected to all sorts of naughty things. Is it just me or is it getting warm in here? Naughty things? Okay, I think that's enough about that. Huh. Well? Are you implying we're here for something other than this meeting? Not necessarily, just a hunch is all. See, I happened to hear a bit of gossip through the guild recently. About last year's film festival, in fact. Someone requested that I reopen the investigation on it. We wanted to know what really caused the chaos. You read about what happened in Van's case files. There was a drug making rounds, right? We also learned that not only were Marielle and Director Lam in attendance, but so were Prince Sharit and his bodyguard, Naja Burkham. And considering the nature of the drugs involved, I can't say I'm particularly surprised the daughter of Heiyue would be interested in the matter. Okay, fine, you got us. The real reason we've gathered here is to investigate the drug Amata was peddling. I knew it. Were you the ones who asked the guild to reopen the investigation? That's correct, yeah. Elsam has a particularly close relationship with the Bracers, you see? Allow me to explain. In September of last year, we launched our own investigation into the drug. And not only did we manage to identify the manufacturers of that drug, but its key component as well. In the end, we discovered it was a type of agave plant, but no other specimen were found outside the one. However, seeing as Amata clearly had vast quantities of the drug, it was determined that they likely had a production center somewhere. Given my knowledge of film noir, Her Highness and Ms. Lu thought I might have an idea on the matter. Now, I'd never claimed to be an expert on illegal substances, but I do know that the cultivation of agave has been outlawed all across the Muria. However, if someone wished to grow it regardless, it would need to do so in an arid climate like the deserts of the Central East. Or even the Eastern Wastelands, although Professor Hamilton deemed that particular possibility unlikely. You see, in order to aid its growth, the plant is said to extract a special component from septium veins. And given that the region is largely barren at present, makes sense. Do you think maybe Amata got rid of all the places they were using to make the drug? You know, to hide the evidence? If that were the case, we wouldn't be sitting here right now. Yes, to clarify, we've been informed that the drug has made something of a reappearance recently. And in the capital, no less. That's so. Is she talking about the thing Van dealt with? Was people imitating the DG cult, yeah. But apparently they weren't doing any of that stuff of their own volition. And when I think about it, it sounds almost exactly what happened at a film festival. They both even needed a trigger. I've heard Heiyue have been pursuing the incident in the capital as well. In which case Ashen's explanation that they're exchanging info in addition to meeting about the movie is sound indeed. Yeah. Man, talk about some serious food for thought. Sadly though, I don't think we're gonna be of much help to you. You're looking at something completely different. But it's perfectly alright. Yeah, it's no big deal. We only ask that you get in touch with us as soon as you hear anything about Agave, okay? We'd be more than happy to reward you for your efforts, of course. Alright, your number's still the same one we got from Aaron? If you're talking rewards, I'd love a sweet treat from the East. Maybe something rare and unique. And if you have any skincare products, I'd be more than happy to take them off your hands. Rather than insider info on Heyu, I'd ask for any information you might have on the stock market. Have your people no shame? Kindred spirits, I see. Their connection to Hamilton. Our connection with Professor Hamilton. Well, for Alzheimer's, she's practically our savior. We can't thank her enough for what she's done for us. To be told, Langport owes her a lot too. Red Star, the Newtown project, the Great Spire, none of them would exist without her. The very foundations were built on her accomplishments. Oh, seriously? Oh, the Great Spire's gorgeous this night. I saw it when I visited last year. Surprised you even bothered to look. Figured you'd have been too busy gorging yourself on Manto. You know, the professor's name has come up an awful lot during this conversation. Kinda sounded like you folks have been keeping in contact. Must be pretty close, huh? I'd like to think so. We first met when I was working on a project as a technical supervisor. I suppose it was about 15 years ago? She was incredibly kind to me despite her being in the position of authority, and if I had any questions, she'd answer them in a heartbeat. As for me, I first met her at a conference in the spring. She was way more friendly than I was expecting her to be, and to this day she still replies to my old mails. I'm more grateful to her than you can imagine. I see. Doesn't seem like she knows anything about whatever business Hamilton had with Dingo, though. All that being said, however, I don't think her kindness is limited to us alone. She's shown her penchant for charity to people and places all over the world. Yeah, she's even kind to Yaya of all people, and he in turn is kind to her. But I can't say I'm surprised to hear all that. After all, Master Burgard said the same. Well, wait, would any of you happen to know where she is at the moment? Unfortunately, no, but now that I think about it, I believe my brother saw her in Basel. Indeed, he met her on site at around noon yesterday, but after that she is believed to have departed the city. I had no idea. Do you think she left for the Space Force to space? I don't actually. She's been avoiding interfering in the space operation out of consideration for her disciples. It's more likely than not that she left to join the festivities in the capital. Sounds like she's really got her hands full. Well, just remember the question I had. Construction work Professor Hamilton oversaw 20 years ago is why that oasis is so full, right? But I was wondering, how exactly did they make that happen? Nice going, Lapis. Honestly, I don't think that question was intentional. Now that you mention it, it was supposed to be a pretty large-scale construction project, right? I've done some research on Tharbad for work recently, but I don't actually remember reading any details on what that construction entailed. I remember it being hailed as a matter of great significance at the time, but I don't believe I recall ever hearing any more on the subject. When I was younger, I saw a video of the Halo Oasis myself. I was immediately struck by the need to ask my father about it. After all, if the engineering existed to generate vast amounts of water in the desert, then why not use it in other areas of the Central East, and in the Eastern Wastes as well? As my father considers himself a close friend of the professor's, he presented the question to her in turn, and according to her...
The oasis is simply the result of a combination of factors. In order to have the same happen elsewhere, however, the area would need to meet the same specifications, both geographical and otherwise. Unfortunately, Your Majesty, I must ask that you not attempt a recreation.
She really said that? Do you mind if I write all of this down? A combination of factors. What a fascinating choice of words. Awfully cryptic if you ask me. Well, I can't imagine she was lying about any of it.
Well, that was riveting. Can't wait to see that new film of yours, by the way.
Your Highness, everyone, I look forward to working together in the future. I am unsure of how much longer we'll be staying in the city, but if you find yourselves in need of aid, please feel free to visit us at our inn.
I'm afraid we're in much the same position, but I appreciate your offer nonetheless.
Personally, I mean to stick around for a few days, so I'd be more than happy to chat.
I'll probably be busy gathering material, but if anything important comes up, just give me a ring, okay?
You guys said you still have the number Aaron gave you, right? Do you want my orb mail too?
Yeah, totally!
Alright. Kind of feels like we're so right through us, but at least we got some good leads out of it. Yeah, and you know, I'm actually pretty curious about that new film we were talking about. But the big stuff was what we learned about the Agave, and everything that told us about Professor Hamilton. I can't help but feel we're missing the final piece of the puzzle, however. Agreed, but once we get that, we finally have a full picture. So what's our next move, Kevin? Well, if that drugs are key to all of it, it's probably best we talk to the people who were actually there for the film festival. In that case, we should speak with Shahina. I believe she was one of the many who fell under its influence. Actually, she wasn't. Well, according to Vaughn's report anyway. What caused her mania was a mask, like a crossbow. I think Melchior stole the one that was used on Shahina, though. Man, that guy's a real piece of work. Well, what's done is done, I guess. Anyway, we're off to have a chat with the girls, right? That's the plan. Come on, let's head over to the culture district. Think we should be starting rehearsal soon. Oh, exciting, can't wait to see your performance. Alright, now...
Let's head out.
This is the point where they tell us they continue the time? Wow, the ways the human body can move are so fascinating. You two are amazing. No kidding. Never seen a piece so sucked in by something that wasn't food. So you guys stands a bit back during the festival, but you've really improved since then.
We're not all that impressive. Though we did work pretty hard on that last set you saw.
The choreography was inspired by the events of last year, actually.
Aquat's influence then. It was good though, had a real fire to it. I could tell you each added your own personal flair to the moves too, even though we weren't doing the same dance. Central Eastern dance may not be very well known in the Empire, but I have a feeling it's only a matter of time until you two are worldwide sensations. Much like Archon Steel is at the moment, perhaps even Heimdall will ask you to perform on the stage. Well, actually, we've received offers to do stuff like that already. But before they can even consider going worldwide, they still have to do a tour of the Republic, starting with the Eurasian Opera House. That's right, the monster itself. Boy, imagine gaining the adoration of such a traditional city might prove to be a bit of a challenge for us. It's sure to make our success taste all the sweeter. Yeah, that's the spirit. We'd love to support you guys somehow, but I think any donations we make will have to be pretty, well, modest. Yeah, Rufus kind of run out of money recently. No matter, that just means our dear sponsor here will have to foot the bill. Are you gonna pay me back? This is coming out of my own pocket, you know? It's fine, don't worry, it's a thought that counts. Oh wait, I just remembered, you had some questions for us, didn't you? Was there something you forgot to ask earlier? I actually had a few questions of my own for them, but I can give you guys some privacy if you want. I mean, we might as well let her stay, right? Fine by me. Anyway, Sarah, Shahina, I know this is sort of a weird question, but would you two happen to be personally acquainted with Professor Hamilton? I see. So due to the incident that happened during last year's film festival, the professor decided to visit Tharbad to not only investigate the drug involved, but to shut down the associated refining facility as well. Wow. So you said the professor came 2 weeks after the festival? I never realized. Yeah, even though I never actually took the drug myself, that mask really messed with my head for a while, or rather, I guess it was like all the dark thoughts I had, once locked deep in my heart, that just suddenly unleashed. You know. That's all the past now, Shahina. And anything that happens from here onward is something we'll deal with together. No matter what, we always have each other. Sawa. Despite the fact that the source of Shahina's issues wasn't the drug, as she said, it was concerned that she had been affected in other ways. The professor decided to go out of her way to pay us a visit, just to make sure Shahina didn't have any lingering health problems. I really couldn't be more grateful to her, honestly. She lifted a huge weight off my shoulders. You see, she put me through some tests to determine if anything was wrong with me, and thankfully there wasn't. But it was only once the professor gave me all clear that I felt like I could relax. Seriously, I practically collapsed in relief. I wanted to express my gratitude by repaying her somehow, but she turned down everything I offered. But because the inns happened to be full, she ended up having to spend the night with us. It was kind of crazy. I mean, the Professor Hamilton? The one in all the history books? She was in our house cooking a traditional Central Eastern dish for us. She whipped us up a treat from Basel too. Oh, what did she make? I knew it was coming and yet... Okay, but what did she make? Western pastries known as Nusstortes and Central Eastern croquettes called falafel. It was so delicious, Shahina actually asked the professor for seconds. Hey, you promised to never bring that up again, Sour. And you were eating seconds too anyway. It all sounds so tasty, I'm starving. You just had a parfait. Whatever. At least you're consistent. At any rate, it sounds like the professor is quite skilled in the culinary arts. I've heard her pupils mention similar stories in the past. Oh, you must be talking about Katwa. He's told me a few stories about her cooking too. You know, after you two mentioned the professor at your house earlier, the question of how you all knew each other just wouldn't stop nagging at me. Thanks for filling in all the gaps, you two. Honestly, that woman's done a heck of a lot for so many, even the church. Seriously, 11 years ago... Well, thanks to our resident Weaking League, looks like we're finally able to uncover our missing link. Which means we've got a new point of interest to explore, don't we? Right, the professor came to Tharbad to investigate a drug refining facility. We can find where that is. It also might lead us to where she was in that memory we saw. Last year, Aquat Solutions broke into a facility that was refining agave plant components into drugs. It was located beneath Vegas Film, apparently. Then that's where we're headed next. Man, you should taught these kids well, Rufus. Barely even had to use my brain for this one. I did nothing of the sort, I'm afraid. The credit for our mental acuity lies with them and them alone. At any rate, I thought the refining facility was on Vegas Film's 5th basement level. All had to have been cordoned off by the authorities. Perhaps we'd like to ask around about the matter? Yeah, let's get going.
That was magnificent.
Hustle up, gang.
Got a feeling we won't have time to go anywhere else once we're in. And there's one thing. But I
Let's not dawdle now.
briefly want to talk to the people we can see in Vegas Films. I don't know if it matters, but are things still proceeding on schedule at the first venue? Our preparations have been a tad delayed. Not to mention there have been some production changes for the event at Al Jumeirah, which... Just what's that noise? We've been hearing it all day. This is not the first time we had an audio disruption on the phone with people. Vegas Films is all in on today's collaboration event. Even our employees are on the job, but we still need to make sure security meets our standards. I hope you cooperate with us too.
Not this way.
Good, but that is all we have. Alright, then next time, because I won't do the connection event this time, we will do the connection event, we will go to the movies if there's anything new, otherwise I'd skip through it. And also there's the exploration, also so the talking to people, right? Good. Until next time then, I'm Mace and don't get lost.